Here's a section of water we're going to look at a little bit more closely today underneath the surface. It is a forested river with some fast water, some slow water. This run has a little bit of both. Join me though as we go underwater and see what lies beneath. Let's break the section of water down a bit further before we go under the surface. It has a cascade or rapids at the head of the run, which is a little bit too skinny and steep to hold fish for long. There's a large boulder at the head which creates a large seam, and downstream of the boulder you can see a very distinct line between the dark colored and light colored bottom. This line clearly defines the dark colored, coarse, heavy rock strewn side of the run from the lightly colored, fine, sand-like part of the run. The darker side experiences fast current. The lighter colored side experiences slower current. Downstream a little further is more the main body of the run, where the entire flow from bank to bank is quite a bit slower. Let's look under the surface now. Here we start a little bit downstream of the overhead shot we just looked at. This is the bottom of the run, about 100 feet along from the head, but it is fairly barren. No fish to see currently. Perhaps not enough oxygen to flow in the area to bring any food. We've moved now to the top third of the run, still in the slower water, but right about the point where the faster water from upstream starts to noticeably slow down. Here we find a number of bull trout. Their sizes range from about 3 to 5 pounds, so not exceptionally large. No rainbows though, or maybe just one I thought I saw there. I can't quite count all the bull trout, but there's probably at least 25, almost in the line, but I suspect there are even more just out of our sight. We can tell by the sediment on the bottom that I'm standing on the slack water side with the camera, while the fish are in the part of the run that has more current. The bottom, where I am, is nothing but sand. The fish numbers grow fewer as we get nearer the head of the run, where the water becomes more misty or whitish, caused by all the scattered light reflecting off the oxygen particles in the water. And we start to see a higher proportion of rainbows now. Some of those rainbows are as big as the bulls, something you rarely see. I am liking this run, let me tell you that right now. I don't know why I'm not fishing. But let's just settle in and observe these fish for a while. It's good for the soul just watching these graceful fish, even when they aren't doing much. I won't even bore you with talking for a bit. I'm not seeing much feeding activity from either the bulls or the rainbows, but there's no active hatch going on, which is why they're just kind of hanging out on the bottom, conserving energy. Oh, oops, spoke too soon. There goes one rainbow to the surface. There doesn't seem to be much competition between the bulls and rainbows either. Neither is trying to push the other away, and each seems to freely or casually swim up or downstream amongst the group. Now as we pan down a little further, we see that there are fewer fish to the extreme left, where it is perhaps too slow. But back upstream as we go, it's first more bull trout, and then slowly more rainbows. Again, let's just continue watching their natural behavior and dream perhaps about dropping a fly in there. Well, I've watched these fellows enough. Let's peer through the silt I've kicked up and turn the camera upstream enough to see past the boulder and into the heavily oxygenated water at the head of the run, the top 20-25 feet or so. Now, it is like looking into a snowstorm or a sandstorm, little particles flying downstream swiftly. But there's fewer fish here. There might be a fish or two hiding amongst the boulders we cannot see, but clearly 95% of the fish are not here and are to our left in the gentler water. A fairly common theme among bigger fish when there's no real significant hatch on. So let's go back downriver just to confirm the fish haven't left yet. And yep, there they are. They haven't gone anywhere yet. Well, I think we've spied on these fish enough, and maybe it's time to give them a rest. Or maybe it's time to wet a line. What do you think? Let's talk now about what we observed here today. For one thing, the fish seem to prefer the more boulder-strewn sections of water than the fine silt sections. This is likely due to the fact that there was a little more water flow there, but also some refuge from the current amongst the boulders and rocks. We also saw that most of the fish, both the rainbows and the bull trout, were not in the dead slack water, nor in the fast, oxygen-rich water. This was likely because with no strong hatches in place, all were conserving energy sitting in a school together. This river experiences some extremely rich mayfly and caddis hatches on a daily basis, but at this moment we were completely in between hatches. I suspect that once one of those hatches got more going, more fish would push up closer to the boulder or upstream of it and take up active feeding positions where they could be more first in line as the insects started to drift down towards them from upstream. Another thing was that although most of the fish were holding in the middle of the run, and even though both species seemed to be very tolerable of each other, i.e. there was no pushing or shoving, the rainbows concentrated closer to the head of the run, while the bull trout sat further downstream, which is pretty common to find in most waters. Lastly, I wouldn't say we observed a lot of feeding behavior, and why would we? There wasn't anything really hatching. But the one fish we did observe rising to the surface was a rainbow. Ah, the good old rainbows rising to the surface. They rarely let you down. I think if I was fishing this run, I would certainly work a dry fly first. I would not expect a ton of activity. However, given the clarity and the not too extreme depth of the run, I think I would certainly raise a few rainbows, especially closer to the top of the run. I'd be inclined to work a nymph too, just because I know the rainbows would be pretty prone to take it, but I feel far more confident in either swinging or stripping a streamer, or more likely euro-nymphing a streamer through the run. It's the ideal thing to do between the hatches for bigger fish. With both decent-sized rainbows and a vast number of bulls, we would likely respond very, very well to a nymph streamer. Whatever the case though, I hope you come across a run like this in your own near future, and if you do, work a dry fly first, then clean up with a nice streamer pattern. Most of all, enjoy your time, catch a few fish, and maybe bring home a few nice photos. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope you found this video beneficial. If you did enjoy the video, please consider hitting the like button as well as the subscribe button. Thank you.